Cold morning. You ship real results. 8:47. Badge granted. Wi-Fi connected. 9:01. Dashboard missing. Next morning, the first question isn't what you shipped. It's where you were. 10 minutes into the workday, your week gets scored on signals. Meetings, badge swipes, Wi-Fi pings, not outcomes. Return to office is the packaging. Your calendar becomes proof of life, proof of presence, not proof of work. That's the visibility dashboard. And it charges you quietly, not in money, in reputation. It's attendance dressed as truth. Your name takes the hit. Seen, logged, scored, you're judged. Friday. A manager turns the dashboard towards you. One tile is red. Explain this week. Not busy, not vibes. Real output that moves the world an inch and still looks guilty on paper. The part nobody says out loud, you can be valuable and still get marked missing. In a lot of places, work isn't what you shipped. It's what the system can see. A meeting on your calendar is visible. A badge swipe is visible. A Wi-Fi login is visible. The hour you spent actually solving the problem, it looks like nothing. Your scoreboard quietly flips. Your impact becomes invisible. Signals become currency. Full calendars, instant replies, quiet counted. You're being watched. If this keeps building, the next version is brutal. The dashboard becomes your judge. One color decides your week. If your week doesn't leave a trail of being seen, you're not judged as effective. You're judged as missing. On paper, it's you. In reality, it's what the system counts. That's the brutal game. You can be winning on outcomes and still losing on visibility. Once visibility is measurable, it starts posing as truth. Who gets to decide real work now? The person who shipped it, or the person who gets to label it real on a dashboard? A lot of companies don't measure output first. They measure presence first. Badge swipes, Wi-Fi logins, days in office gets counted. A quiet ledger. Were you seen? If you felt it, you're not crazy. You're reading the system correctly. Even when the job can be done from anywhere, remote isn't dead. Return to office pressure keeps ratcheting up anyway. Be honest. If your job could be done remotely and that option vanished, would you stay? When flexibility disappears, a lot of people don't adapt. They plan their exit, not mildly annoyed. It turns into I'm leaving. That forces companies into a choice they don't love. Trust outcomes or enforce attendance. Manager or employee, creator or student. Same trap. You work on a laptop, email, docs, dashboards, tickets, designs, research. Your role doesn't save you. This decides whether you look real or missing. Even if it doesn't feel urgent yet, it changes your control over time. It changes how your performance gets read. It changes your role inside systems where more and more work happens without your hand on the mouse. This matters now. The way work gets measured is getting locked in. Stay to the end, the wiring. Presence rises, behavior warps, agents widen the gap, and the tell that grades your week. The core conflict is simple. Outcomes work. Shipped is shipped. Presence becomes proof. If you weren't seen, it didn't happen. The scary part, presence turns into truth almost by default. It's measurable, it's countable, it fits neatly in a dashboard. Dashboards win arguments. You've probably seen the modern version of this, employee monitoring dashboards. Some workplaces turn badge swipes and Wi-Fi pings into a scoreboard. Green means seen, yellow means watched, red means explain yourself. Once it's a scoreboard, it doesn't stay informational, it starts shaping careers. What happens when the dashboard is wrong? It flips. The verdict sticks to your name. That's not productivity, that's control. Not evil, but directional. It shapes behavior. It tells managers, this is what working looks like. Once that becomes the default, people adapt. Not by producing more, by producing signals. Monday, 3 quick sync invites land. Your week turns solid blue. On the dashboard, green. The small switches become the tax you stop noticing. Responsiveness becomes theater, then it becomes performance. You learn which conference room makes you counted. I hate how rational it is. The system rewards it. This is the trap. When a measure becomes a target, it stops being real. Presence becomes the target, and your impact quietly gets demoted. You might be thinking, but isn't the office about collaboration? Sure, sometimes. Catch. What gets counted? Collaboration is hard to measure. Attendance is cheap to measure. The pattern people keep noticing is ugly. Return to office mandates don't always show up when collaboration is broken. They show up when leadership wants certainty. Morale takes the hit first. Zoom out. Even if that's half true, the mandate isn't mainly about work. It's about certainty. It's about making a messy thing, your output, look trackable. Inside your organization, you're living in a two-ledger world. Performance review. A spreadsheet slides across. 2 columns. Shipped, seen. Seen is green. The wrong one decides. One is the scoreboard, attendance, meetings. The other is the work, shipped outcomes, quality, speed, customer impact, system improvements that compound, the twist that changes the stakes. The second ledger is getting less human visible. The work starts moving through your tools while you look idle on paper. you still get graded like you weren't there. The output moves. Your week stays blank. A lot of companies are moving toward co-pilots and agents that can draft, summarize, helpful until you can't prove who moved what. They can push work through documents and email. A quiet approval you won't remember goes through. Internal workflows too. You don't see the decision, you inherit the outcome. Would you notice? You'd notice the outcome. You wouldn't see the click that caused it. Your name could still be on it. No visible hand. Companies build a dashboard. Signals win, outcomes lose. Big platforms are rolling out co-pilots and agents at scale. Alongside that, platforms build control dashboards. Who sees what? Who can move what? Sounds fine until it isn't. Your work can happen while you're not visibly doing it. Your screen is busy, but it's not your hands. You're still there, still clicking. Now it feels like you're being remote controlled. That creates a brutal mismatch. Your evaluation system still rewards visible human activity, but your production system is increasingly run by agents. The company gets the output while still demanding your present signal. You shipped outcomes, but you're still graded on being seen shipping them. It's like being asked to take attendance at your own job, while the job is quietly getting automated. Invisible agents, without getting nerdy. Lose the thread here, you pay for it. Companies hardwire it into the walls. There's a rush for connectors into your email, docs, internal tools, safely. One connector, then a bottleneck, safe on paper until it acts. Agents stop being chat in a box. They become connectors. They move through your work like plumbing. When it breaks, your name owns it. The moment that happens, the organization panics. They're right. One ghost action, your name owns the fallout. After hours, audit log. Approved, your name. You don't remember the click. Monday, why did you allow it? If an agent can act across systems, you need approvals and an audit trail. You need logs and guardrails. This isn't bureaucracy, it's self-defense. It can still turn on you. You need to know what ran, when, and what it was allowed to touch. If you can't trace it, you can't defend it. A paper trail for safety, yet the same machinery can drift. If you can log agent actions, you can log people. If you can build a control dashboard for automated work, you can build a control dashboard for human compliance. In a lot of places, companies shouldn't monitor people just because they can. If you do, it better be clean, minimal, visible, and you can answer for it. Looks clean until it bites. Cross that line, trust bleeds out fast. Not just because you can, only if you actually need it. That's the line the modern workplace keeps walking. Guardrails that protect the company versus monitoring that drains trust. Look at the machine that turns your week into a presence ledger. Badge logs, Wi-Fi logs, timesheets. None of it counts what you shipped. Sometimes it tracks screens, other times keystrokes, sometimes just time. The catch: a big chunk of people react to that kind of tracking like a fire alarm. Not annoyance, breach of trust. If it's logged, you exist. If it isn't, you vanish on paper. Employee monitoring is showing up more often, and when it does, it's the kind of breach that makes someone quietly update their CV. What proof of life signal gets rewarded where you are? The presence ledger doesn't just change productivity, it changes culture, it changes retention. This gets sharper. The more agents do screen work, the more companies will chase proof that humans are still working, and the more everyone will start gaming the proof. People don't rebel against work, they rebel against unfair measurement. Remember that calendar as proof of life feeling? That's the signal the system is optimizing for. Here's the part that makes people suspicious. Sometimes a mandate doesn't feel like collaboration. It feels like pressure, enough to make some people leave on their own. That's not always the intent. It changes how the mandate gets read. Less collaboration, more pressure. Monitoring secure? Not automatically. And it's not just culture risk. A surveillance system can become the keys to everything. One breach, everything gets hit. This is the part that sits heavy with me. Once a company builds a system to watch, it rarely gets less capable over time. Here's the switch. Work becomes whatever a dashboard can count. Agents make real output less visibly human, right as presence metrics get stricter. You end up with two stories about the same week. Story 1, I was in the office, I attended, I responded. Story 2, I shipped, I improved the system, the work moved. The organization decides which story counts. If story 1 beats story 2 in a performance review, you're being graded on signals. That's the tell? Zoom out. This isn't just an office argument, it's a measurement argument. Everywhere, the same argument resurfaces. Governance versus control, safety versus surveillance, accountability versus distrust. You don't need a giant enterprise stack to feel this. Even a small team can slip into presence metrics. Always-on chat, constant meetings, instant replies treated as performance. When you think about real work, what do you trust more, visible effort or shipped outcomes? One more, the future shock truth hiding in plain sight. When an AI agent drafts the deck, summarizes the meeting, moves the workflow, credit goes to whoever presents it. Blame sticks to whoever's name is on the approval trail. So what does a fair system look like? It would treat attendance as an input, not the score. Otherwise, it turns into a weapon. It would separate roles that truly require being in the same room from roles where showing up is just optics. It would treat audit trails as output accountability, not a pretext to watch people breathe. The moment results lose to presence, you don't get better work, you get better performance theater. The work goes off screen. Companies start building levers. Organizations want agents. They want efficiency, innovation, results. To deploy agents safely, they build governance, logs, and approvals, then a control dashboard. Those same controls can become the new presence ledger if leadership isn't careful. You can feel expectations lock in. Once people taste flexibility, they don't unlearn it. Mandates don't just change schedules, they change loyalty, not just ideology. Expectations harden. What happens next? You get hybrid creep. All hands. A policy PDF. One line highlighted, 3 days. Next slide, strongly encouraged. A calendar hold appears. Your week turns into proof. This is where the invisible agents matter again. The more agent-driven your work becomes, the less busy you look. Your output compounds, but your presence signal may flatten. It's like getting punished for being efficient, which is deeply corporate, honestly. If you've made it this far, you see the pattern. That matters in a world run by dashboards. Once you see the two-ledger problem, you can't unsee it. Every meeting, every badge swipe, every quick check-in starts to look like a signal fight over what work is. Right before we land this, one more hit of the opening feeling. Not the words, the emotion. The quiet pressure of being evaluated for visibility instead of impact. When someone asks, "Are people working?" the real question becomes, which ledger are we counting? Presence metrics feel clean, but they're a shortcut. They reward what's visible, not what's valuable. Agents make that gap wider. More output happens off the human screen. The companies that get this wrong won't just lose productivity, they'll lose trust. On the ground, you're the one paying for the shortcut with your time, attention, and mental energy. Same cold morning, same ledger. Now you can name it. Seriously, I appreciate you staying till the end. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and tap like. Then in the comments, what's one proof of life signal that gets rewarded in your week more than shipping? If you replay this later, you'll catch the pattern you missed. A low digital hum under your workday. That's the signal.